Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. It's prediction time. Khan versus Brook, the fight that we have been waiting for about 7 years. We're here to break it down, give our thoughts, prediction. We're going in a little bit early, but as I mentioned before, I'm going to be away for 10 days, so there'll be no videos, unfortunately. So we thought we'd get the prediction video in first. If you are new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. Help us get to 100. How are we doing, Rick? How excited are you for this fight?
I couldn't help notice both of us are grinning at the start of this video for two reasons. One, we both can't wait for this fight. And two, we both know we're going different ways to each other on this prediction, which doesn't always happen, but always adds a bit of spice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are anyway, because I've been quite clear where I'm going. I think you've ummed and ahed a bit more than I.
I have actually. I've flipped back and forth on this one quite a lot. There's just so many ways to kind of look at it. I mean, if you look at Khan, when was his peak? His peak was probably Marcus Maidana, Zab Judah, Paulie Malignaggi, that kind of era. He came back and beat Devon Alexander. That was a pretty impressive win. But that was like maybe, 8 years ago? Lamont Peterson, which he was unlucky not to win. A lot of people would agree that was probably his peak, and that was all at 140. And then he had the Canelo drubbing, which actually the Canelo fight, he was actually winning that fight. But Canelo just completely sparked him. And then he's just had like nothing fights really since then against, Samuel Vargas, Phil LaGreco, Billy Dibb. I think Billy Dibb was his last win. Obviously,
Spence. Sorry, not Spence. Crawford.
Terence Crawford, yeah. Terence Crawford obviously was his. I think that was officially his last fight, which was that 18 months ago now? Yeah.
Well, it was before Brook's one, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, I think that was his last fight. And then you probably look at Kell Brook's peak was maybe a couple of years after Khan, where you're talking Sean Porter, obviously winning the title. That was really that was when he was at his best. And then I think it was Kevin Bizier and the IBF mandatory obligations that he was kind of stuck with. Jojo Dan.
He was still probably at his peak when he fought Golovkin. It was just a bad fight for him.
It's just a bad fight because his career kind of unraveled really after that Golovkin defeat. And again, had some success against Golovkin in that fight, but he was just undersized. And really, I have to say, in hindsight, probably not the best move. And also, Errol Spence, the first, we were at that fight. The first half of that fight, Kell Brook was looking pretty good. But then just down the stretch, he gassed. And obviously,
that's an interesting one, because that is, would a peak Brook have ever beaten that Spence? Because Spence is, he's not an average fighter, is he? He's pretty special.
Yeah.
But you just wonder, did his lifestyle catch up with him in that fight?
Yeah. And he also, potentially. So, it's the classic battle of Khan's speed versus Kell Brook's timing, his laser jab. How much he's really wanted this fight. Amir Khan. If it was cancelled tomorrow, I don't think Amir Khan would be too disappointed. So Kell Brook has maybe got that fire in his belly. I guess if it's actually going to be at 149, that's the weight limit apparently. And Brook gets a heavy financial kind of fine if he's overweight. But if he could take, I don't know, even if he comes in at 151 or 152 and takes a 200, 300 grand hit on his purse, he'll probably do that because it would give him a significant advantage. But if Brook
I'm not sure. Do you mean coming to the weigh-in on that, or the?
Yeah. But anyway, I think I've dissected that. I think for my prediction, providing Kell Brook is on the 149 limit, I think Amir Khan stops Kell Brook in about round 4 or 5. Yeah, I'm
Khan stops.
I'm gonna go can't stop it by stoppage. Yeah,
Khan to stop Brook in round 4 or 5.
yeah. And the reason why I've gone for that, if this fight would have been made 2 or 3 years ago or further, I probably would have backed Kell Brook. I really think Kell Brook had all the tools to beat, Amir Khan. But the one thing that makes me favour Amir Khan is, look, they're both in the you can't even say twilight of their career. Their career is pretty much done. But I think Amir Khan, and both have been inactive, but Amir Khan is probably somebody that does look after himself a little bit more. And I think the condition, the time that it would take to get into condition, it won't have been as a rough road as it would have been for Kell Brook. We know that Kell Brook, he ballooned in between fights. And I remember the deterioration in Ricky Hatton, who also ballooned, quite famously ballooned in between fights. And, his career was pretty much done at 31, 32. And I think that'll be a factor. So, yeah, Khan by stoppage. What do you think? Break it down.
You surprised me a bit with that.
Have I?
Not who you've picked, just the method and quite an early stoppage. So I'm going to go Brook rounds 6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah. So the way I've kind of looked at this is, it is a matter of who's deteriorated the most, and fallen from, who's, I think in their peaks, like you, I would have picked Brook. So falling from their peaks, Brook started off higher, basically, in my eyes. And I do think Brook maybe has fallen from his peak further, but he started off higher up. So that's kind of the deterioration. And when I say that, I mean more in speed and timing and stuff like that. I always felt that even in the peaks, Khan would have a lot of success against Brook, but he can take, he can take punches, and it'll be a matter of time. And that is still how I see it. The thing in my mind, the big doubt I had about about Brook, is where's his resilience now?
Yeah.
Because I actually thought in that Crawford fight, he didn't look too bad until he got caught. I thought that it was quite a tactical fight, and that it wasn't explosive, but he did look sharper than I expected him to look. And so assuming he's still like that, he's going to cause Khan issues. My question mark is, how resilient is he? And I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt on that fight. And also with the extra weight, I know it's only 2 pounds, but I think when it gets to this kind of level, that does make a difference. So those are the reasons I'm going to go for Brook. I think though he's probably deteriorated more, he's started at a higher position. And I just don't think Khan's a big puncher. So even if he has got less punch resistance, it's not going to be tested as much in terms of power. And I just think he'll time him at some point. And I also think as well, a bit like you, I think he's just got that a little bit more desire in this fight than Khan would.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Khan looked for a way out if it was going wrong.
Really?
Somehow, I don't know how.
He did that against Crawford, didn't he? What do you make of?
You'd have to offer it him. So I think that Khan will be winning the fight early on. I think at some point, because I always struggle to see how Khan could get through a fight with Brook at the peaks and not get caught and then not get finished.
Yeah.
And I still kind of see it like that. I still do see it like that. But don't get me wrong, I'm not hanging my hat on it. I'm not. This is an absolute dead cert. I'd be surprised if your prediction came true. That's why I was surprised when you said it. I'd be surprised if that happened, because basically he's stopping him around the same speed as Spence did.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep saying Spence, as Crawford, and I just don't think Khan will do that, especially with this is a bit of higher weight and with everything on the cards. You know, if it's a very late stoppage from Khan, possibly points, way more likely. I think Brook points is unlikely, but I think a Brook stoppage is heavily likely. So yeah, your prediction surprised me a bit.
All right, we'll see. Is Kell Brook with Dominic Ingle for this fight?
Yeah,
he is. And Khan has got Bomac, hasn't he? Brian McIntyre, Crawford's trainer.
Yeah, and he's fighting with training with Crawford a lot. Whether that will give him confidence, because I'm being trained by the person who beat him, and obviously he'll give him tips. So do you think, that's quite a statement you come out with, to be fair. It's still taking me aback. From saying that someone's going to, you'd expect someone to win at the prime for this, is it all about punch resistance?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought I backed Kell Brook to be was another bad prediction of mine. But look, it's like you say what you think is going to happen. I mean, I just wasn't impressed by Kell Brook. I think he did have a bad camp as well, and he didn't have Dominic Ingle in his corner for that fight against Crawford. But it was a jab. He caught him with a jab, and his legs were completely gone. And I just think at that point, I just felt like his career was over then, and that was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Year and a half ago.
No, it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's 2020. It was actually one of our first videos that we did, the prediction. So yeah, that's just my take on it. I just think, it hasn't really lived the life. I mean, yeah, maybe it is a bit bold going for a prediction, but I think Amir Khan will. Yeah, I think he'll catch him, and I think it's over. I can't see it going the distance. Actually, I think it's a knockout either way. I don't really see it going the distance. I think it's hotted up nicely, isn't it? The back and forth between them. Yeah. So
my prediction, if your prediction comes true, that will surprise me a bit. Not absolutely shocked because of what we saw with Crawford, but still, it's Khan here, and with the extra weight, and with the animosity and all that. It would still surprise me. If my prediction came true, would that surprise you?
No, nothing. No, it wouldn't. No, not at all. And nothing's going to surprise me in this fight. I think it's a knockout either way. I'd be more surprised if it goes to points, to be honest. I think both of them are going to, they're going to come in swinging. Both of them are very, hyped up for this fight. I just can't. I don't know. There's a very good chance that tactics will go out the window at some point, and they'll just trade. That's what makes the fight so exciting. Really, really pumped for this fight. Really, really pumped. I'm more excited for this fight than anything else on the calendar at the moment. I think maybe Fury White is probably there's a bit more behind that.
We need to get that on the calendar officially, don't we? But
yeah, true.
Yeah. So have you been a genius, or are you going for another clever prediction that backfires?
I can't think of my last good prediction. I don't know, but probably looking at maybe Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Bachar. I picked Valdez in that one, and Valdez was an underdog. That's probably the last good one I can remember. Yeah.
So it's a strange one though, because it is a thing of who's deteriorated the most, isn't it? That is the game we're playing here.
It is.
But what I like about this fight is it's, even though I'll be tense and up for it, I'm not over bothered who wins. It's not like watching, Joshua versus Usyk, or Fury versus Wilder, or any of them two versus Crawford. Brook or Khan, because it's two Brits. I'm not that. I don't lean much towards one or the other, really. in terms of who I prefer. So there's no pressure really, and who wins and loses. So that takes that edge away. But I just can't wait for the fight. And weirdly, just to see them in that ring together, opposite each other.
Yeah, it still kind of feels weird when you see promos for Brook Khan. It's like, wow, it's actually happening. Yeah. All right. I don't think there's any other. We do have another fight coming up this weekend. Danny Jacobs versus John Ryder. I don't know if you have any thoughts or thoughts on which way you think that might be going. I think that's quite an intriguing fight.
Yeah, I'm not as I don't feel my knowledge is as deep as on the one we just spoke about. But I don't know. I think it's not straightforward, but I'd always probably go to Jacobs on this just because of the level he's been at.
Yeah.
You know, his kind of pedigree and that. I know he's coming over the pond, and I also think you don't come. You know, that's quite a statement to come over. He doesn't have to come over here, does he?
No, he doesn't. But it is going to be his last chance, I think. And it's I don't know. I've got a sneaky suspicion for John Ryder on this one, because I just think his last performances have been slightly better. I'm not saying it just to be different. I'm not, because Danny Jacobs' last few performances haven't been great against Rosado, which I think he may have lost.
Could be doing a hedge here, you know. You could be doing a hedge. I've gone outrageous one way. I'll go the other as well.
But I mean, it's a 50-50 fight. I really think that's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, I don't say it 50-50, but it's definitely competitive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll leave out the official predictions, so we'll just stick to Khan Brook. All right.
That's big enough.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. All right. Let's wrap it up. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks everybody for listening.